Well, the County Council, as you know, decided to pull the plug on all youth services, and as from March 31st, all youth workers, both full and part-time, will all be made redundant. They will just offer a targeted service for those young people who they class as most in need. So all open youth works across the county will be closed.
Disgraceful!
Certainly is. Yeah.
So this is what the big society looks like then. I'm actually a big supporter of the big society because what I see in front of me right now is what I think of as the big society. People who are willing to stand up and say no. There's more than just individuals and families. Mrs. Thatcher was wrong. There is such a thing as society. Philip Pullman made recently about the cuts in Oxfordshire, and he finished by saying something like, "Leave the libraries alone. You don't understand them." Over 12,000 people have signed a petition condemning the proposed cuts to the libraries. Would they? 13,000 now? And rising. Hands up if you've signed the petition. The rest of you can still sign.
I mean, basically what's happening is that actually we're breaking up the social cohesion of our community. And this is terrible. You know, libraries, schools, and youth clubs, they are so essential to us.
We need to buy more stuff.
Are not that significant. Well, Neil, tell that to the victims of the closures of the day centres. Tell that to the victims of the library closures. And tell that to the young people who depend on the youth service. And tell that to the 1,000 workers facing the dog queues in the public sector in Gloucestershire, and the thousands others in the southwest and hundreds of thousands in the country. I see that the CBI leader, Mr. Lambert, said that the government's policies are ruinous, and that the leading Tory, David Davis, has said the millionaires on the front bench have lost touch with the ordinary people. Well, we really needed him to tell us that, didn't we? We say there is an alternative. There is no need for these cuts. It is a political choice taken by this coalition without a mandate by the electorate. We say close the tax havens, collect the illegal tax evasion by the rich, stop spending on foreign wars and on Trident, and invest in our public services and invest in our jobs. We must replace this coalition government. If we don't, it will be the end of our welfare state and our public services.
Really concerned about the fact that in the rural areas we're going to have cuts to our services when we hardly have any in the first place. No mobile library service, that will be cut at the end of March. Our buses are likely to be cut too. So in a village like ours, we're at the top of a very steep hill, we're going to be quite isolated.
David, you're going too fast. Right.
What we need to understand is that these cuts are based on an immoral pretense. They are wrong. Even George Soros now says that they're wrong. They are driving the economy to double dip, and we must fight them. Now, as much as we're here today, what we want is some leadership. Sadly, all Conservative councillors so far have failed to come out in opposition to the cuts. Even though this is being imposed nationally, they can make local statements that they say they are against the cuts. That is what they've got to do now. They've got their budget meetings coming up. It is no good just using the excuse, the money's been taken away centrally, we cannot do anything about it. Of course they can. They have got to stand out and actually represent their constituents. Likewise the MP. Neil, a bit of advice, stop being Westminster's man in the constituency and start being Stroud's man in Westminster.
We're not oblivious to the economic state this country is in. We do not naively think that the government can fund everything. But we do believe that the way in which the government is reforming the public services, as they call it, is unjust and irrational. Excessive debts of £30,000 from university fees does not provide an incentive or a gateway for us to be the workforce of the future. We want to be the skilled, educated workforce that the government want.
As a result of these cuts, 23 of our public libraries face closure across the county. Libraries at Stonehouse, Nailsworth and Minchinhampton are all on the hit list, as well as the 5 mobile libraries. The libraries are a cost-effective, widely beneficial service. These cuts will save the County Council very little, but are enough to permanently decimate this service. We're told by Council Leader Mark Hawthorne that his budget protects the most vulnerable. That he wants to protect what he calls life-changing services. But for many, their local library is just that. The elderly and disabled, for whom libraries offer the only respite from social isolation. Children from low-income families who access the books and computers they need to achieve at school. And the unemployed who rely on library computers to search and apply for jobs. What about these people, Mark Hawthorne?
Because I believed in the NHS, and I know most people here and everybody who works for it believes it. There is such a thing as public service ethos. Thank you.
£123 billion in unpaid, uncollected and avoided tax, and they want to cut the public services by 81 billion. Well, there's a difference there, isn't it? And we know we could fund public services. There's no need to make any cuts. There should be no cuts at all, and certainly my union is fighting for that.
When I say that one of the things we all have to do is to oppose the whole notion of TINA, T-I-N-A. There is no alternative. It's a lie. There is an alternative. The Conservative and Lib Dems are telling us there's no alternative. They're conning us that what we need to do is show a stiff upper lip, put up and shut up, and it'll all get better. This is not true. We're also told we're all in it together. This is not true either. Anyone who lives in the real world will know the poor, the young, the old, the people with disabilities are being hurt the most. We've got to get this the alternative vision. It goes beyond just saying no cuts. It's a vision of an economy fit for the future. It's an economy geared to the needs of the most vulnerable, not the greed of the few. The future is ours. We've got to go and convince people and start building it. Remember, there is no...